Well, we've come to the end of yet another week, and here on this channel that means one thing and one thing only. Every weekend I post an episode of this series we do called Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you the viewers to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week, free agency opened up and plenty of big-time signings happened where players switched teams, so of course there's plenty for us to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now, so if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, it turns out about 60% of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so please, if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I would also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Seth, and he says that everyone is overreacting to the Lakers' spacing and that with their new signings, they'll be just fine. So, after the Lakers acquired Russell Westbrook, there were a wide variety of reactions to the move. Obviously, Westbrook has been a star in this league for years now, and his electric play on the court is enticing for whatever team he plays for, but he's also been somewhat erratic in big moments, and he's not exactly a very good outside shooter, so there were some question marks about his fit on the Lakers team that at the time didn't have many capable shooters. However, then free agency opened up and the Lakers continued to steal the show, making signing after signing, adding countless viable rotational pieces, and now, this take that we're discussing is very much the rational take that I mostly agree with. One addition that they made that I really liked was adding Malik Monk, who did start slowly in his career with Charlotte, but last season he started to show some real promise as an impactful scorer in bunches, and along with him, the Lakers also brought in shooters like Wayne Ellington, Trevor Ariza, Carmelo Anthony, and Kent Bazemore. The Lakers had a disappointing season last year, getting eliminated in the first round of the playoffs, so with time running out for LeBron to contend for more titles, they went all in on veteran experience this offseason, and while it could be said that perhaps their team is a bit too old and out of their prime, I would say that experience tends to be what wins in the NBA, and it's actually smart to follow for their short-term window. The next take we'll be discussing comes to us from Stamey, and he says that even with all of the latest additions to the Lakers roster from free agency, he still doesn't see them beating the Nets in a playoff series. Yes, we will be discussing Lakers takes back-to-back, but they undoubtedly stole the show during free agency so far, so it's only right to do so. It also ties perfectly into our previous discussion about the Lakers spacing and all of their new additions. Now, to actually address this, with all of the attention the Lakers are justifiably garnering, the Nets will still likely be the biggest threat in the league next year. Not to take anything at all away from the Bucks winning the championship this season, but we can't exactly ignore the fact that they were as close as it possibly gets to being eliminated by Brooklyn in the second round, and that was with James Harden playing on only one good leg and Kyrie Irving missing most of the series because of an injury as well. That should be absolutely terrifying for teams looking to contend next season, because the Nets can beat most of the league without even needing to be at full strength. When comparing the Lakers to the Nets are the ones with a big three, all much closer to their primes, playing their best basketball, while the Lakers and LeBron James are slowing down a bit, and Russell Westbrook is not the MVP candidate that he once was either. Additionally, the Lakers made a bunch of splashes in free agency, revamping their rotation, but the Nets also signed Patty Mills as a pivotal bench piece with championship experience. So again, almost across the board, the Nets can match or beat LA, I think. If I had to pick right now who would win the Western Conference, it would probably be the Lakers, but if I had to pick a winner for the finals this early on, I think the Nets should be the easy choice. The next take we'll be discussing comes to us from Joshua, and he says that the Bulls will be the biggest disappointment this season because they will struggle mightily on defense. I may have picked this Chicago Bulls related take, but I promise you, I had damn near 100 Bulls related submissions this week because along with the Lakers, the Bulls stole headlines by making tons of major splashes in free agency too. They first went out and acquired Lonzo Ball in a deal, and then they followed it up by bringing in DeMar DeRozan, and pairing those two players with Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic makes for one of the most talented starting lineups in the Eastern Conference. So many people this week submitted takes along the lines of how they would be a top 4 team in the East, they would make the conference finals, they could win the East, and I don't want to come off as someone hating here, but I think we do need to relax a little bit. For one, with all of these new faces and so many big names playing together, they will have to learn to play together, and sacrifice is going to have to be made. The chemistry might not be there from the jump, and LaVine, DeRozan, and Vucevic are all used to being go-to scoring options, so playing together is going to be an adjustment for them for sure. Plus, as was said in the original take, these guys aren't exactly great on defense, and after ranking as the 21st ranked defense as a team last season, I'm not quite sure how much they're going to improve upon that this year. Don't get me wrong, they will be much better overall, and I have them as a lock to make the playoffs, but I still think it's way too early to anoint them amongst the best in the conference, especially with how many teams are still great in the East, such as the Bucks, Nets, Hawks, Heat, and 76ers. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Hasan, and he says that the Cleveland Cavaliers could potentially make the playoffs next season with their young core ready to take that leap. The Cavaliers are honestly one of my favorite young rebuilding teams at the moment, and the core of guys they've put together seem to fit really well together. I think they hit a home run by drafting Evan Mobley this year to anchor their defense, and then players like Colin Sexton, Darius Garland, and Jarrett Allen have all been getting better and better every season as well. Garland has the potential to be an all-star as a dynamic shot creator and playmaker at the point guard spot. Sexton's already one of the most effective scorers in the league numbers-wise, and Jarrett Allen just had the best year of his career last year too, which got him rewarded with a hefty contract extension by the team. I think the Cavaliers are a lot closer to playoff contention than many people realize, but simultaneously, the East is just way too stacked top to bottom this season for me to pick them to be one of the 8 best teams in the conference. Right off the bat, teams like the Bucks, Nets, Hawks, 76ers, Heat, and Bulls are probably locks. Then teams like the Celtics, Pacers, Raptors, Hornets, and Knicks will also be in the hunt, and that's already 11 teams ahead of them. Rebuilds take patience, and the Cavaliers have done well bringing their younger guys along, but their sights are still very much set on the future rather than being set on the present. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes we discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.